Okay, storytelling Ron here, and I'm in a new location trying this out. It's my garage. I finally spent time bulldozing. This place was filled with stuff, man. But now it's this big pile of junk outside. But I'm gonna turn this into my little RPG studio. Yeah, I'm gonna start doing stuff in here. Oh yeah. So let's get back to GM skills. GM Star Wars skills tests, whatever you want to call it. And there's construction going on over there, and they're doing stuff. So whatever, they might hear some noises, but whatever. Let's just do. I mean, we ended with mechanics. Let's go on to medicine. Okay, so we're gonna roll. Oh, let me get my dice out. I already got them out. So remember the dice. I'm gonna do where you get like 3. I'm assuming that the player has 3 ranks in the skill, and let's see, no, 2. Oh, so adversary for medicine, they don't really have one of these in there. You know, obviously as a GM, I can upgrade one, but I'm going to leave that out for now. And then take out, let's just say they have some sort of device or, the medical gear, the emergency repair kit or whatever it is. I'm going to say they're probably in a tough condition though, arid, out in the wild or, wherever they are. So let's do a roll here. Medicine, here we go. As you hear drilling and the character's going crazy. Okay, okay, this looks pretty good actually. 2 success, 1 advantage. 2 success, 1 advantage. So obviously that's going to be like healing him 2 more wounds or whatever. And then beyond whatever the... yeah, so whatever, healing 2 more wounds, plus one strain. Now, it seems to me that you're going to need to get a triumph in order to heal a critical injury. So I don't know, how that all works, and especially with the gear. So there's that. So that's the basics of medicine. I'm kind of slow here. And you only do 1 medicine check per week per person. Oh, when recovering from critical wounds. Okay, yeah, so... So you can see I paused the video because I was stumped about this medicine check, and it's something that you're gonna have to definitely look up because you can only do 1 medicine check a week, it looks like, per person or per critical. And so that's going to be, you're definitely going to need some medipacks and other stuff. I'm assuming people are going to get hurt more often than that, but I mean, depending on how it plays out. And also, if you do roll, a threat, you're going to take strain. And if you happen to have one of these and you roll a despair, that's going to add a wound or a critical to the roll, like really mess them up. So, yeah, medicine check, man, that's a tough one. Okay, let's move on, because that's when I think you and I both need to really familiarize ourselves with, because they're going to be using that a lot, and especially what kind of gear that they can have access to, or you can put in front of them to get to help them with medicine checks or with healing and recovery and all that. I guess I'm kind of shaking the table, but anyway. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, let's roll negotiation. What's the setup? I didn't do it for the first one. So negotiation setup is like, well, obviously, let's say you're, like the picture shows here, trying to purchase a land speeder, right? Trying to get a good deal on a land speeder. So let's just roll that. And I'm going to assume the guy, obviously the merchant, has this skill. He's got two ranks in his, so they're doing the negotiation, and it shows here a little chart. Do negotiation, then the opposing skill will be negotiation or cool. So I'm going to say negotiation because obviously I'm a salesperson. I'm just going to say, that it's a local yokel, 2 ranks, plus because of their profession, they're going to have an upgrade to a red. And I'm going to, again, have reasons for these just for the heck of it. This guy maybe has heard about them, knows they have money. This one is, for the player, let's say, so you got to think of something. Well, again, they're coming. All right, let's say this is their notoriety. They're really good. They maybe you know you have the money. You know you have the confidence. You've been succeeding at your missions or whatever. So it's so funny. I give them that. But then the merchant also knows you have money. You know, so it's kind of like that. Okay, so let's roll. And they're negotiating like the price of the land speeder. Land speeders are like, let's say 3,500. Okay. Alrighty, here we go. Oh, this is okay. Take that out. Two successes. So 3,500, probably go down to 2,500. That's probably how I would do it. Because it says here, like each success brings it down 5%, but in a small town, prices can get pretty rangy, in my opinion. So I would go from 3,500 to 2,500 because, and then, so what if he would have gotten like an advantage? I could have said, he'll throw in some fuel or something like that, or just bring me back, or give him another offer like, okay, here's land speeder 2,500, but if you can bring me back this or that, I'll give you, another 1,000 credits. Like I really need some land speeder parts, add a little extra ongoing kind of goals there. And I do like to do that with the players, like when they're in town, as they're interacting with characters, the characters give them missions. So that's the sandbox. That's really the sandbox thing, is that you go around to all the different salespeople or businesses. As you're getting your goods, you start asking them what they want or need, and then and the players will go around and decide, then they have a sense of freedom where they're going around all the different places and finding out who needs what. So that's negotiation. Negotiation is pretty straightforward, though. That's one of the easier ones. Obviously, if you roll a threat, it's going to be a higher priced, or there's a little antagonism. For a despair, the guy probably not going to want to sell to you at all, or sell you damaged one or something. Get a little ticked off. Maybe hire some thugs to keep tell you to get out or something. So there's that. And then obviously if you roll a triumph, guy really likes you, blah blah blah, and you can really add something to it. All right, let's move on. That one's pretty straightforward. That was obviously one of the more enjoyable ones. And just to remind you, it does have tells you about the social skill interactions. So that coercion, deception, and leadership, the opposing skill is discipline. And for charm, the opposing skill is cool. And for negotiation, the opposing skill is negotiation or cool. But obviously you can, based on the situation, you can kind of mix and match the social skills any way, how you see as well. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, perception skill with cunning. This one is a lot like, this one can be proactive or it can be passive. So it may be a good idea to have their perception skills on your side of the table so you can see them. So if you roll your own, skullduggery or stealth or, trapping or whatever, or hidden things, that you can secretly kind of roll, your thing and then know their skill and roll. Now it's going to be hard to hide that you're rolling that, because, it's not like in Dungeons & Dragons where you can kind of roll and just see the number real quickly, or they have the passive awareness and passive perception, and you automatically know what it is. But that's the way it kind of works here, is that you just, either you can roll. I kind of would just make them roll it just for the fun of it. Even if it's something secret, I would just, you roll your perception. Here's the opposing dice. I just would do it that way. And then what is it? I'm like, if they roll bad, I would just be like, nothing. I would just, and they're like, and they just keep playing. I would just kind of do it that way for me personally, because I don't want to, because either way, they're knowing you're up to something, whether you roll it or they roll it. So, all right, but let's just say perception, and remember, you got to think of something quick. Actually, we'll go over it later. First, let's just say they decide to look in a room and look for what's in there. Okay, and then kind of, let's play that out. Oh wait, yeah, same dice. 2 success, 1 threat. So obviously they're going to find everything that's in the room. 2 success, 1 threat. Well, the threat is, in this one in particular, can you think of something? I mean, whatever. Obviously I didn't explain the whole room to you, but a threat could be, in here, it's about missing vital information. It seems like the success or failure is the immediateness of what's going on, and then the threat and advantage is kind of extra info or loss of info that you don't want to tell them anything, So they'll find, like say in that room they find, padded armor, like an old stormtrooper. I would say, let's say it was an old stormtrooper garrison, from long ago or whatever. I wouldn't say that then. I would say, yeah, you find some odd padded armor. It's all white and, kind of aged. But I wouldn't tell them that it's the Imperial garrison, they're, giving them clues to what the whole area or whatever. I would try to then generalize what it was, what they did find. And so they have to go find out more about that to find out what it actually is. Okay, let's move on. Well, okay, so perception is a big one. It opposes skullduggery checks. I'm sure it opposes stealth, and it opposes. I believe it's also for initiative, or is that's cool and something else. It's cool, and I think perception as far as knowing what's going on. But yeah. Anyway. Yeah, so noticing clues, skullduggery. Yeah, being prepared for a trap or ambush. And opposing stealth. So yeah, so perception is what you typically think of it. But again, a little different since the die roll is so obvious whether you do it or they do it. I probably will just make them do it every time. And one individual too. If it's specifically like a stealth or something, I would do one, and then have another one maybe add a bonus die, or if they both have a really good perception, then have one do the skill and one do the stat if they're both are nice and high and can help upgrade each other's roll. So that's how that one works. I hope I'm explaining myself well. Okay, I've decided to skip the piloting planetary and piloting space. I mean, you get what those are. And I think at some point probably do a space combat one, and then or vehicle combat one, and work those two in that way. So I'm just going to skip those because I'm tired. I mean, this is exhausting. Can you tell? You got to get familiar with these, so that you don't have to think and read and like roll. Oh, hold on a minute. Let me see here. You know what I mean? Whew, man, definitely going to reread these over and over and just like get an understanding of, and maybe an understanding that I want them to be, like what do I want them to be for bonuses and or threats and advantages. I'll follow this obviously, but again, as a GM, what would make me comfortable doing, that kind of stuff. And Heidi and Way, by the way, that podcast, Heidi and Way, which is I enjoy, but they definitely you get a lot of the GM and the players, doing the back and forth with what do you think should be the advantage here, blah blah blah. So those are good examples. It makes the game a little slower, which is fine. Makes the game or the podcast, it feels a little slow. It takes a while for everything to, it's not just and then rolling dice like in D&D. It's more like, whoosh, oh, okay, succeed in. So what do you think should happen? So it's a little more narratively slower than Dungeons and Dragons in a sense, but I hope to make it go a little faster. I personally, in my personal taste of how I would GM or would like to GM it. But I would probably make it go a little faster than that and quickly. I want to be more snappy with the dice resolution. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Resilience. Okay, resilience. That's a good one. I've used it for especially when they're in Tatooine, the desert. I know I've had them roll for that, and I kept it pretty basic though. If they succeeded, fine, they're good. They don't have to ever roll again. If they failed, I would have them give them one of these. You got to roll these for any kind of maneuvers. You're hot, you're tired, whatever. And obviously, if it was severe, I might even give them two of these. But none of them had that. But that's basically what I would do for that, for resilience. Like I kind of roll that if they're especially they're in a tough condition. It's obviously versus poison. It's versus maybe too much pain on a critical injury, malnutrition, dehydration, whatever. Not lack of sleep or something. I don't know. Well, lack of sleep will make it harder. But they add another purple die to their challenge. And then of course if they succeed, again they can have I would just say they don't have to roll it again for that game session at least. And for failure, again, I would just give them the penalty die. And then for triumph, I would say maybe they always get a bonus die, and or maybe they can help another character during that, especially if it's environmental. But anyway, that's my own concepts for resilience, and of course what it's explaining here. Let's go. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, skullduggery. So skullduggery is like stealth, pickpocketing, playing sabak, and trying to cheat in that, breaking lock, picking locks, mechanical locks and stuff. Some electronic locks, could require computers and skullduggery. Okay, so obviously success is success. So let's say you're playing Sabak, and obviously you got the 3 ranks in cunning, and you're playing one other character or whatever. Let's roll. So I got 2. And let's say it's the other person's deck, but you have a cheat device. You have one of the little things like Lando did in a solo. All right, here we go. Ooh, 1 success, 3 advantages. So obviously you win, and 3 advantages means they don't know. Not only do you win, but his deck. The advantages has more to do with information. So not only do you win, but you could probably play him again, but his deck because of 3 advantages. But his deck is a cheater deck, so he does have a cheater deck. So you could claim, I want to use someone else's deck, and you get to play him again. But you have to use someone else's deck, or like a generic stored, deck. So he has to roll taking this out, and you get to keep playing. And you won 500 credits. Now you can play again and roll again. So let's just do that for the fun of it. Oops, this one did not roll. So and I always make a rule that it's got to be in the tray when you roll, because there's so much dice and missing and stuff. So he has 2 successes. 2 successes and 3 threats. So he wins again, but the bad guy knows that he's got a cheating, after he won. I would say not only after he won, but after he leaves. The bad guy knows he's got it, so he comes and confronts him later. I know you were using. I saw it. I know you. I didn't want to say anything. So if you pay me off now, I won't tell him. You do that kind of thing, and maybe then you can go into a little cool, coercion versus his cool, and see how much money he can get off of you. So that's a pretty cool little breakdown of that skullduggery. All right. What's funny is that when they do. When they have the explanations and then I see a full-page artwork, I tend to forget that there's actually text there. I sort of just don't even notice it and move on to the next page. But anyway, so let's move on to stealth. Okay, stealth. Obviously, stealth is sneaking around, whatever, and hiding. That's kind of the basics of what it is here. So let's roll it. Let's say, obviously, you got 3 skills. I'll take this one out. So you've got 3, let's say 3 ranks. Of agility, and plus 1 rank in the career of stealth, and then you're going through I'm gonna say a pirate camp, right? So probably be that hard, but I'm gonna raise it up to obviously one of these, upgrade one of these, because it's a pirate camp, but it's the main pirate camp, not the smaller ones, the main one, or Jabba the Hutt's area where he's trying to sneak into. We already got through pick the lock or computer lock, and now it's just a matter of sneaking through to get to the inner sanctum or whatever. So let's say the person says, well, I've got this, I'm wearing dark clothes, and he took off his heavy clothes. He's just wearing something sleek, something, where it has a light weapon, I'm really, trying to stay hidden and quiet, and I got soft boots, or whatever they like prepare. It's okay, give him that. And I'm going to say, well, there's a lot of guards, around. So here we go. Not a lot of guards, but enough. All right, 1 success, 2 advantage. So obviously they made the stealth, 2 advantage. It says here, so if you did extra successes, it says you can help like your other buddies come in. Maybe you can give them a boost die, and then for their rolls. And then for the advantages, it says you get in really quickly. You find a way to distract. You can have a distraction, so that it maybe, which to me seems like another boost die for your other characters or whatever. But getting in quickly might be a good one. Maybe you get a better position against the guard when he comes around the corner. You can take him out. So there's that. Now, if you got a triumph, you obviously can make it even better, and the guards hear something and go off the other direction, and whatever. You get lucky. Everyone can come through if you get now obviously if you succeed and you get a threat, you guys get through, but something, you leave a clue as that you have gone through there. Now, obviously this doesn't feel like it's going to play out immediately. It's going to play out later, like someone finds your footprints or the way you got in, and things are left open. So, what does that mean? For the immediate, I don't know. For later, obviously, maybe someone's following them from the other side, or that area is now, or when they return to that area to leave, maybe there's a couple of guards there arguing over what this is, and who left this open. There's that kind of a threat. So that's, another thing you gotta figure out. And then obviously despair is that they definitely know someone snuck in and they're guarding the entire area and they're looking around, and how are they gonna get back out? Or they start coming in after them, following their trail, their path into the area. Haven't set the alarm off yet, but trying to figure out what's going on. All right, so that's stealth. Streetwise. So you understand that too, that if you can succeed and still get these threats and despairs, which is tricky. It's like the GM has to then play that out in that way. So which is interesting. It's tough. That's what makes this a little tough. You can't just succeed and move on. It's succeed, and then you got to add some threats and things in there. So that's an interesting thing to get your head around when you're GMing. All right, let's move on to the next one. Okay, Streetwise. Streetwise is it's one I'm a little. Streetwise uses cunning, and it's a knowledge-based skill really, and then of course there's a whole bunch of knowledge skills. So I'm a little iffy on how much I'm going to use this one, because I feel like if a character really wanted to know an area, they could just go and charm, negotiate, coerce different characters on the street, and then gain that information, about the streetwise of that place. I feel like it should be role played out as opposed to just roll streetwise, and then I'll give you awareness of the things. But I mean, I can see an argument for it as well. But basically, it's an information role, and you're looking around. Let's say you're on Mos Eisley or Mos, one of the smaller towns in Tatooine, and you're looking around and you use streetwise. And I'm assuming when you roll that, you can just see, who's suffering, who needs what kind of criminal elements are around. It's kind of a knowledge roll to me. But anyway, let's just say they roll. Let's just say they're, they got the same thing. They got really good cunning and one in streetwise. I don't think I'm going to go ahead and use, let's say the GM decides to give them the upgrade, obviously it's a 2-rank difficulty, medium difficulty with, the GM throws that in. They've never been to this place. It's even, let's say the planet, I would say if they've been to Tatooine or Mos Eisley and then they go to Mos Shuta, I wouldn't give them a penalty, but let's say they're new to the whole planet. I'm going to say this. I'm not even going to give them this. I don't even know what. Let's just, here we go. Streetwise. No success, 2 advantage. Just 2 advantage. So what does that mean? Just 2 advantage. So, see, as a GM, you gotta come up with something, because you think about it, they're looking around in let's say Mos Shuta, small little desert or arid town. They see the market stalls, they see the cantina, they see the sales place or whatever, the tech shop and the land speeder rental or whatever. With 2 advantage, that's it. Using their streetwise, what do you do? You can't give them any direct information because they didn't succeed at it. You think you can get more information if you go actually talk to someone, maybe, I would say, or I would just give them something minor like that. Just need to go and talk to people. You need to go interact with them. I guess that's really all I'd give them, really. I might give them 1 boost die for the next roll. That's it for that. Let's try that one again. I'm just kind of curious what I would do next. Or I wouldn't do another streetwise roll though. I would do 1 per location, actually. But I just want to do that one again. Let's just say the same thing. They come in, they enter. Oh my gosh. 2 failure, 1 advantage. What? 2 failure. Nobody there wants to talk to you. Nobody wants to. It's very closed down. It looks really dangerous and seedy, and everyone looks disease ridden, and you don't want to be here. But they know that. They know they failed. So I'm telling them a negative. That's the tough thing about this. See, How do you do that? Man, I wouldn't have anyone attack them, or it's because it's a knowledge roll, and they already know I'm going to give them the wrong knowledge. So yeah, that's one. That's the. There we go. There's the stickler there. I think instead of that, I would say, instead of telling them a lie, I would say whatever charm or roll you want to do next, you got to use these 2 dice, the penalty die. I think that's probably a better way to do that. Is if they fail at streetwise, they get to use these every time they do something here. That's better. That's better. See, we're learning something. We're figuring something out here. Wait, maybe it doesn't say here about failure about that. But if it's a knowledge roll and they fail, you can't just tell them something because then they know you're lying. You might as well say, well, here's what you get for any time you try to do something. Okay, next one. Okay, survival, cunning. Survival, it is not resilience, right? It feels like it might be similar. Survival, cunning is not resilience. It's more like, whatever. It's more like, kind of like a ranger, farmer, druid type of thing, where it can identify safe stuff in the environment, where to get food, where to get water, how to eat, make it potable, drinkable, edible, skill and survival, weather patterns, dangerous conditions, and preparation for it. And then tracking, obviously tracking, animal tracking. Then we'll go on to animals. You can do animals, taming and stuff. So let's do a roll. Let's say they want to tame the Tusken Raider thing, the big guys, the Banthas. Now, obviously, the Tusken Raiders know how to tame them, but I played out that no one else does. It's like a mystery. So I'm gonna make this one kind of hard. I'm gonna make it actually 3 ranks of difficulty with a danger element, the red, upgrading that to a danger. And let's say the character has a cunning of 3 and 1 in survival. Okay, great. Let's say they watch the Banthas feed, right? So they know what they eat. They eat the old, dry, rustic wood and grasses, in Tatooine that grow in little areas. So they go collect some of that. And I'm gonna say, okay, you get one of these. And I'm not gonna give them any negatives. I feel like, they carefully come up and do their thing, but it's still incredibly difficult and dangerous. So obviously that's the danger one. So let's say they're gonna try to tame this thing. That's a success, 3 successes. So they did not tame it in the sense of permanent triumph. They tamed it in the sense that it's not gonna harm it right now. It may follow it for a day, it may follow them or eat off of them for a day, and then they can roll again, but it definitely not tamed it. So I would say for the next day, they have to roll again, or otherwise it's gonna leave. Something like that. Or what if there's a herd nearby? It's gonna make it even more difficult. Or actually a herd would be 2 of these. If there's like another bantha nearby, it's gonna be 1. They have to isolate it really to train it, So I do stuff like that. Let's say for survival, let's say that they're just basic survival. They're preparing to go out into this jungle because they got an adventure to do, and they want to prepare, and they're saying, hey, I want to get all this stuff. All right, well, let's roll your survival to see. So I'm gonna say it's a dangerous planet. It's just medium difficulty with a dangerous planet. So I'm gonna put the red in there. And obviously they still get their 3, and of course they're buying stuff, and they're still in the space station or wherever. So I'm gonna give them that. And this is survival preparation type of roll. Oh, got a triumph. That cancels out. Got a triumph. Everything else is canceled out. So to me, they succeed. They get whatever they need, and if at some point in the adventure they don't have water, I'm gonna say, you did, you got it because you rolled triumph. So you do have any, So I'm gonna give them like that kind of thing for survival. All right, let's move on. Okay, last one, vigilance, willpower. I am exhausted. Just definitely got to get, as a GM, over time you get more and more used to it. But it's definitely the thing you need to focus on. I'm saying, I believe, because once you get these things down, all to me all the creature stats, all the conventional, like say what skill level things are, what challenges things are, is pretty easy to me. This is the one that's the tricky one. The dice result, reading the dice results. Vigilance. So vigilance, obviously, the main thing it's used for is initiative in combat if you're being ambushed, if you're being attacked. Your vigilance is rolled to see how well you do in the order. So let's just roll. Well, let's just do a regular vigilance check, because that vigilance check doesn't have any opposing dice. It's just re-rolling your vigilance. But let's roll. Let's just say your vigilance, as in, you know, you're resting at your land speeder. Let's say some of the characters are scouting for the banthas, and you don't know that Tusken Raiders are sneaking up on you. You know, so let's just roll vigilance. So I'm going to give the Tusken Raiders 2 ranks. So I'm going to give them 2 ranks because they're average in my view. Now they might be more than that, but I'm just going to give them 2. Let's just say they're 3. I think that might be 3 cunning, you know, or whatever that is, stealth. Let's just say 3 plus they're you know, they're raiders. They're sneaky, so I'm going to give them the extra that. Now obviously the character is going to have, let's say, a vigilance of 3 ranks as well, plus the career. I'm going to say, you know, just to be nice to the guy. Yeah, leave it like that. The friends there. Okay, let's say there's 2 of them there. There, let's do it that way. You can combine them. So you look at, okay, so we'll upgrade that. There's 2 of them there. Now they don't know obviously what I'm doing. I'm just telling them, let me see your vigilance, because you guys are resting while the other 2 are scouting. Or maybe they're repairing the land speeder or something. If they're repairing the land speeder, see, I'm giving 1 penalty, right? Because they're distracted. So let's, and then the Sand Raiders, this is their home. This is their territory. So they're going to have that as well. So this is going to be a tough roll. See, here we go. This is the player's vigilance. Ooh, yep. Okay, not good. Oh yeah, 1 failure, 2 threats. So the Sand Raiders have 1 full action on them, and they get bonus. I would say they'd get a bonus die to their shots, 1 each, because they got 2 advantages, or 2 threats. It's a failure for their vigilance and 2 threats. So I'm going to give them, the Sand Raiders, 1 action before we start even combat. Plus I'm going to give them bonus die. Okay, so that's the skills. I didn't go into combat, obviously, and I didn't go into piloting. Combat's pretty basic. Piloting, I think to me is going to be locked, or do a video on space combat or space vehicle combat. But I actually want to play it with the players. I have not played that technically with the players yet. That's how new I am to this. We've done, and I haven't. I've kept them on Moss shoot, whatever you'll see, my other videos. But I've kept them very dirt poor, and they're still dealing with that. I'm slowly, incrementally, hopefully the next adventure. You know how you find kyber crystals for lightsabers? Well, my daughter, I'm not going to have her find a kyber crystal. I'm going to have her find a kyber, slither, so she can put it on her vibro dagger, and teach her. Yeah, this is what if you get a real kyber crystal, you can make a lightsaber. But this one, you can attach to your vibro dagger and give it +1 of this or that, or whatever. I'll figure that out. But so I'm really going slow with them building up their characters to become epic Star Wars heroes or whatever. But anyway, that's it. My video is on, knowing the skills and reading the threats, advantage, despair, and triumph. How those work into play when you succeed or fail at a skill. So you got to familiarize yourself. I think it might be a good idea to go through and just do a couple of rolls, and kind of figure that out as for yourself. Kind of play with that, little scenarios, just because you got to get that going and solve a few of those now before you play and the game slows down. Anyway, that's my video for that. Hope that was helpful. Help me. So that's a win. All right. See you on the other side, Gammon. Gammon Star Wars style. Oh, and turn up.